fancy photos.
Right.
That takes whatever. You do a minute and 40 seconds of we're the greatest in the world, so and so. You do a minute of the title girl telling you how wonderful title insurance is. You do another minute and a half. You're done.
Right. I don't think anything else. Brings you new listings and insight from Miami to you. I'm your host and fellow peer, John Porter, here with Sal Davidi of Davidi Realty. And the topic of the week, Sal, is, it's not really a step, but the importance of property inspections.
Well, it really is a step, John. I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, we've now, through the shows, episode 6, we've gone through the process of how to find the property, the pre-qualification, we're talking about getting the contract done. Now we have a contract on a house. We've established a sales price that both the buyer and seller agreed on. Now we want to make sure we're buying what we're up against. Mm-hmm. So the purpose of the actual property inspection is to know the condition of the property, of the roof, plumbing, electrical, the appliances, and those inspections range from very simple to very complicated.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does an inspector check everything in the house, or does it depend which one you get? Or
yeah, I think it depends which inspection company, and more importantly, which service you ask for. Mm-hmm. There's some that do very little, some that do everything from A to Z.
What would you recommend as far as getting an inspection?
You know,
if the house is new, I'm sorry to cut you off. If the house is new, get a simpler one.
Yeah.
If the house is...
You know, it's a good question. I think it depends on the property, depends on what your budget is for repairing the property. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen people do very little inspection to be okay. I've seen do a lot and be not so good. You got to kind of, again, that's where your realtor is going to help you kind of get a feel for it. Mm-hmm. You know, speak to the inspector, see what they offer. Mm-hmm. In that is also possible mold inspection. In that is a Chinese or defective drywall inspection. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on the level. That's, again, where the education of the realtor can help you. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to buy a property and then close the next day and find out what you bought isn't what you thought it was and have tremendous repairs because the property is not in your budget. Mm-hmm. And if it is in your budget, you should know up front what you're up against.
Okay. Trying to think, is that something the realtor does? Or you do? That's again the realtor.
I guess the realtor, a good realtor will give you 2 or 3, 4 inspection companies to call.
Okay.
And then you'll call the one you like the best or someone else, and they'll explain you their service, their experience in the business, you know, what the report involves, and then you can pick the one you feel more comfortable with. I cannot stress how important a good inspection is, because the last thing you want to do is buy a property, and I said the next day have a surprise with something with the property, whether it's simple as an AC, as simple as a roof not being well, plumbing. There are a million things that go wrong in a house. Mm-hmm. And the faster you know it, the faster you can make a decision. Also, in most contracts, there's a certain amount of time to do the inspections. Okay. So once that inspection period passes, whether it's 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, you cannot go back and make a claim as per the inspection of the property.
That's important.
So you not only want to do it quickly, mm-hmm. so you can better determine what you're up against.
Okay. And I guess just to kind of tie the show in together, actually the property that we from episode 2, we were there with the inspectors today, and it was getting an inspection also.
That is correct. I mean,
so
again,
this is actually the steps are actually working. We're actually going through.
Yeah, these are real steps. I mean,
mm-hmm.
one of the great things of the show, at least in my opinion, we are actually following real steps on real transactions. Again, from what you do from point A to point Z. Now we're at the point is where we have the contract, we've agreed on a price, both the buyer and seller have said, I'm going to buy the house for this. You're working on your mortgage, but more importantly, you are now seeing if the property is what you think it is.
Okay.
Again, we have a great expert of the week to talk about this, but again, this is an important step in the process.
Okay, and we'll be right back with the expert of the week. We're here with the expert of the week, John Micali. John, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
First, before I guess we get started, why don't you give us a little brief background about yourself or Allied Inspection Services?
Sure. Allied Building Inspection Services was formed in 1993. I formed it after Hurricane Andrew. I was rebuilding some homes, and somebody asked me to do an inspection so they could file an insurance claim, and I did the inspection, and I made this report. I got the photographs developed at Eckerd Drugs and stuck them to the page, and I remember the day I delivered the report to the homeowner, and they gave me a check, and I delivered the report, and it was like, wow, I'm like providing a service somebody needs.
Right.
Coming from a contracting background where it was always very just, tenuous, and this was like somebody who was really appreciative of my knowledge, and that kind of stuck. And from there, that was right after Hurricane Andrew. Just built on that, and here we are 25 years later.
And here. No, again, and John gave me the tour of the whole place. Amazing setup. No, really, it is. The call center, the upstairs, the meeting room, met the whole team, Ruben and everybody. But kind of what the show is, and where we're at now, is we've got a contract, we saw a place, we found homes, we got our financing, and now we're talking about inspections on a home. Could you give us a little bit on your idea on inspection? What should a first-time home buyer, expect out of an inspection, or?
Yeah, well, an inspection is a visual, functional, life safety, review of the home. It's not gonna, you're not looking for code to see the house meets the current code, because the house meets the code at the time it was built doesn't meet the current code.
Ah, that's important. So
Yeah.
just to cut you, if you get an inspection, that's not a code certified thing or anything. That's just to see what it is.
Yeah, generally not. I mean, your home built 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it's built under a different code. So it's functional and life safety. And of course, you'll talk about life expectancies and estimated repair costs. That's all part of it. It takes about an hour for every 1,000 square feet to do a what's called a comprehensive home inspection. Every home is going to have something. It's very rare to get a home that you don't have something.
Right.
So it's not unusual to find 15, 20, 10 items with a home. That's just the way it is. Home structures are depreciating over time, and so there are going to be various stages of depreciation, so you're always going to have something. And it's just a question of understanding what it is. A residential real estate transaction is very emotional, and
Right.
A home inspection is not. It's very subjective, very objective. Here it is. These are usually the findings, and enables you to make a decision just so you understand what you're getting involved in.
Are there different types of inspections, or is there, can I get a lower end inspection where they just do the basics? Do they're higher end? Is there differences, or?
Yes, there are. So typically, there's a comprehensive home inspection, which is everything: the roof, the structure, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, appliances, doors and windows. In addition to that, there's some inspections for obtaining insurance. There's a 4-point wind mitigation that allows the insurance company to rate the home and put a premium to the insurance policy. And then there's some additional things you can get. If there's a septic tank, you get a septic tank inspection. If you have concerns about mold, maybe somebody in your family has a susceptibility to mold with allergies, there's a mold assessment, which will do an inspection and testing for elevated mold growth. If the home is built prior to 1973, you may want to consider getting a sewer camera inspection. Prior to 1973, most of the homes were built with cast iron sanitary piping, which has about a 50-year life expectancy. So there's certain things, of course, termite inspection, which is included generally in a comprehensive inspection, but it can be considered another inspection. So,
is there anything that we should be concerned about as buyers? Like, let's say maybe, I guess, just communicate with your inspector. He didn't check the roof, or he didn't check the HVAC, or he didn't check, one room. Is it to get another inspection, or communicate with your inspector that, hey, I need you to check this, or what would you?
Well, I mean, if you have concerns, you want to communicate them up front, and I would hope that the good inspection would certainly catch all those major items.
Right.
But sometimes there is something that's a little extra hair on the wheel that you don't know about, and hey, this home was completely renovated 4 years ago without permits, and we know that. Can you look at this?
Right.
So it's important to communicate. I mean, it's all about communication. So.
Right. Okay, cool. John, give anything else for any of your viewers, or anything else on the topic of inspections?
I would just say that about 95% of all single-family homes that are sold in an arm's length transaction are inspected now, and it's a wise thing to do to get an understanding. No inspection is perfect. There are things that you're likely not going to be able to see in 3-4 hours at a home, but it gives you a starting point to understand what you're involved in. And an inspection of a home is worth every penny, and generally you'll get your money back 10 times over. So
that's awesome. John, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it. We'll be back with the property of the week. Thank you again to the expert of the week, and now we're going to go to the property of the week. Sal, the property of the week is 4950 Southwest 111th Avenue, Miami, Florida.
That's one of ours. We've shown that one before a couple episodes ago, but I want to bring it back because we had a substantial price reduction. It's a hot area. It's very financeable. And I think it's something we should consider, a buyer should consider. It's a nice property. Again, I would do the inspection that we talked about earlier, but I think it's a hot area, and with the substantial price reduction, it's certainly worth considering again. And a great area.
Okay, cool. Sal, anything else for this week?
No, I mean, as I say every episode, I mean, we're building to a final closing, and I think each one of these steps are real steps and real transactions, and I think we're kind of going and showing people what the importance of each step and the value of each step. So I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate all of you for watching. Thanks again, Sal, for the lesson, and from DeViti Realty, we wish you a good day and sell more homes.